vlog. We are going to get on the Christmas tree for the first time and I'm super excited. I'm just gonna grab my coffee and then we're gonna go drive to get the tree. Oh.
Come on. Here's a good book. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, you alright?
Hey, crazy boy.
You alright? Looks really small actually.
It does, doesn't it?
I think I'd rather just have a small tree right now. He's laying on my back.
Is he? Good morning, it is the next day. I'm just gonna do a super quick face and then crack on. I managed to squeeze in a bit of reading this morning. We'll walk you through which books and things I'm gonna try and tackle. We were hosting family and friends yesterday and I made a really yummy carrot cake and some brownies and some picky bit. We were also hosting then dinner for my parents, so I didn't have time to get any reading in yesterday. It's the season, isn't it? And I just want to try and catch up on that today, because if you're anything like me, you're kind of aware of your Goodreads goal as well, which you're trying to hit. I just need today to be a rest, a reading and a relaxation day. The books that I'm thinking I want to reread today are Virginia Woolf's A Room of Wands. My copy is actually getting a little bit mouldy. A few of them I've repurchased and some of them are texts that I studied at uni, and they have a lot of my annotations and original notes in, and I don't want to lose those. They're precious to me as such, and so I want to go back through this, have a read. And I bought a new copy, secondhand unvinted copy, and I'm going to transfer the notes from here into this, and this one's a healthy copy, so this can go back on the shelf. I also want to read this today, and what I'm going to do is pop some tabs in as well, and then over the course of this week I will then sit down and do some poetry analysis. And maybe even if I've got a bit of time today, I'll go through and add my annotations in. I also saw on YouTube Wendy Cope has done a few interviews or has a few readings of these poems, so I would like to watch those once I've read this as a kind of companion to it. I'm also feeling like I might want to make a start on this. This is a collection of wintry short stories that are kind of detective, thriller, crime, and there's 10, so I feel like if I read one every couple of days, that would tide me over throughout December. I also would like to read some more of this on my Kindle. I don't know if you've seen on Goodreads, they're doing a beta reading challenge where you get achievements if you read certain books within a certain amount of time, certain styles of books, certain little things that you tick off, and there's 6 that they're running. I'll insert a clip of what it looks like. And I'm on the final one, and I think the final achievement is called Awards Season or something like that, and this is currently up for the 2024 Goodreads award. It is really highly rated on Goodreads. I think it's got 4.11, 4.2 or something like that. Quite fast paced, I'm really enjoying it, and it's following a character named Lucy who allegedly murdered her best friend on the night of a wedding they were attending, except she had an accident and has amnesia from that evening, so she doesn't even remember herself if she committed this act. 5 years later, a famous investigative podcaster is reopening as such the case of that night, and he's created a true crime series based about Lucy, and she goes back to her hometown and he happens to be there while he's recording this series, and it's told between her plotline and the episodes of his podcast as he's uncovering things. And we don't know if she's done it. She hasn't told us, and I don't know if she's an unreliable narrator or we trust her, but it's making for a really compelling read. I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea and then tab this up and maybe start the annotations. We'll see. Our tree is looking really cute. I don't know if you can see it. Because it's a live tree, I was always told that you need to give them 24 hours or so to let them drop where they've been sort of packaged or leaning, or they've been kind of compressed in their netting. You need to let them breathe for 24 hours before you start fiddling with the lights and the decorations. We've kind of just got the lights on because we were hosting last night. We wanted it to look kind of festive and cute in here, and I can definitely see today we need to do some tucking and tidying, and then maybe in the week I will probably start doing the baubles and the decorations. To show you my advent calendar for the year, which I got from Bird and Blend, which is a tea company. It's so cute. So it came with a flap, but it didn't stay shut, and I was trying to stand it up in my office and I found it was just making, so imagine this again but a second thing. It was quite big, so I ended up just snipping it off. But look how pretty this is. And each day you get 2 tea bags, which I think is really good, especially for the price of this. And they're just my favorite tea company. I'm sure lots of book girlies love Bird and Blend, but I'm really excited to have different flavored teas every day. Are you having a cozy day if you don't put a Christmas ambience? Hogwarts Christmas might be quite nice. What do you think? I really loved this. I will probably give it 5 stars, if not 4, probably 5. Some of these poems I had read before, which was fine, and some of them were quite funny and playful, but there's one poem in here that really made me well up, and it's called A Christmas Song. I'm not going to read it to you, but if you were to maybe take away one poem from this collection, that's actually one of the ones that's really touching. So it's called A Christmas Song, and it's by Wendy Cope, and it just captured why sometimes Christmas can be difficult for some people, in a very beautifully succinct couple of stanzas. Bo is also here with me, and he has been enjoying sharing my blueberries, which I've been snacking on whilst I read. Next, I'm going to start on my Virginia Woolf, rather an extended essay of 2 different lectures that Woolf gave in the 1920s, and it addresses issues relating to female authorship, female creativity, female autonomy, touching loosely on the idea that women need financial security and a space of their own if they are to confidently be able to write and create work, and kind of address the conditions that women have not always as easily as men been able to create or to write or to make the art that they want to make. A Room of One's Own has since become a canonical feminist work that is encouraged a lot of the time at university, or especially when I was at university, if you undertake women's writings or feminist studies or women's literary writing, this is always one of those texts that I see on reading lists, and importantly and deservedly so. I just wanted to share with you a couple of quotes from it that I really love now that I've been rereading it. A quote I love is, "Women have served all these centuries as looking glasses, possessing the magic and delicious power of reflecting the figure of man at twice its natural size. Without that power, probably the earth would still be swamp and jungle. The glories of all our wars would be unknown." She also talks about the nature of the patriarchy and wonders, just kind of muses, if historically men have wanted to conquer and fight for lands and take things that perhaps don't belong to their country of origin and things like that. And she wonders if that's because the patriarchy, as a rule, half the human race are indeed by nature inferior to himself, meaning that men already have been conditioned for whatever reason to believe that women are below them or beneath them, or to be treated as a second-class set of citizens or differently, and so they've already had that experience of treating others less than them. So why wouldn't they, particularly like in colonial, I suppose, treat women as less than, because they have been conditioned to treat 50% of the people they interact with that way, based on gender alone. This is the final quote that I will share with you because I don't want to seem too preachy, but it says that intellectual freedom depends upon material things. Poetry depends on intellectual freedom, and women have always been poor, not for 200 years merely, but from the beginning of time. Women have had less intellectual freedom than the sons of Athenian slaves. Women have not had a dog's chance of writing poetry, which is why I've laid so much stress on money and a room of one's own. So when she says they have not had a chance to write poetry, she does not mean literally there has been zero poetry, but that they have not had a comparable amount of opportunity or circumstance to write and create the art they wanted to, compared to men. If you think of the sonnets, you think of Shakespeare, Donne, Wyatt, all those kind of people, and you don't think about the female writers that also probably wrote sonnets or were unable to or wanted to. You know, you only know a handful of people from the Renaissance or 1700s forwards who are female poets that are acknowledged, compared to the wealth of male work that we have kept and canonized and celebrated. I really adore this, and I think I gave it, last time I read it, 4 or 5 stars. I think it's an essential part of understanding feminist writings and feminist literary history, or just feminism in general. Good morning, it is the next day. I didn't end up getting to read or get much relaxing in yesterday afternoon. We had some family stuff going on and my plans kind of went out the window after we had our lovely roast. I'm working from home today, but on my lunch break I'm going to try and fit in some more reading, and then hopefully I'll be finished by 4 today and I'll be able to have a couple of hours of reading before I need to start sorting out dinner. To quickly catch you up to speed, I got through 59 pages of A Room of One's Own in terms of rereading and also re-annotating and adding my notes and transferring them back across. It's actually taking me longer to do that than it was just to read it as such, but I should finish that today. Hopefully I'll pick that up after work. I know I said I was hoping to do some reading on my lunch break, but I think I'm actually going to take my puppy out for a walk because he's been very lethargic and bored this morning, poor little book. I can also stop by and there's a free miniature library box kind of the next part of the town over from us, and I think if I walk him up that way, I've got 4 or 5 books that I want to donate. And so the books that I'm going to donate are The Sleep Revolution. It's just been on my TBR for years. Literally, I've hung on to it. I think it just looks really lovely and it sounds interesting enough, but I just never pick it up. I put it on Vinted for about 6 months and no one's purchased it, so I'm just going to donate it. The next book that I'm donating is Michael Crichton, The State of Fear. The last book I read of his I really did not enjoy, and it's kind of dissuaded me from trying or reading his other works. This one is also 600 plus pages, and I just think for an author I'm not 100% sure about. Like, I loved Jurassic Park, but the books that I've read of his since I haven't enjoyed. and I just don't think I'm going to pick this up anytime soon. Again, I've had it 6 months or so and I still haven't got around to reading it. The next up is The Doctor's Wife. I really liked this. It was a fun, kind of Freida McFadden-esque, easy, slightly twisty thriller kind of read. Very chill, nothing too taxing on the brain. But I probably wouldn't read it again, and it's just not worth keeping on my shelves for that reason alone. And hopefully someone else will have as much fun as I did with it and then pass it on too. The final book that I'm donating is a self-help kind of book. I think you've probably seen this, it's been around for a while. Again, I've just never been drawn to it. I wanted to read it. I was so curious about it because who doesn't want to feel good or better themselves or work on their own capabilities? But I started reading it and I just didn't enjoy the writing style. And I just thought this isn't probably for me, and I'm not going to force myself to work through it and read it. It's not super long, but it's just, again, it's just something that I'm not fussed about, and I've just hung on to it because I feel sometimes a guilt, like I should give a book a second or a third try, and then I don't, and it stays on my TBR. This is like brand new, so hopefully that can go to someone and maybe give the right person a bit of inspiration or motivational guidance. Yesterday I read about 15% of Listen for the Lie. We have learnt more about the characters potentially involved in some of the events around the murder itself, and we've just had a couple of revelations already, so I'm about 40-something% of the way through, and we've had a couple of people now who are looking suspicious. So it's not just our narrator who is looking suspicious, there are other people at the night of the event. What you got? Ready? Yeah. Yeah. Stay. Bye. I have just finished work and I want to take 10 minutes or so just to read and decompress. I had a long day. I don't know what my hair's doing. Oh my lord. Where are my rat's tails? Down here somewhere. I'm gonna take 10. It's gonna get cozy. Maybe have not a lie down, but just like a little get cozy. Distract myself and read, decompress, and then I want to bring in the decorations for the tree and actually get those on now that it's had time to settle. I'm hoping the puppy will leave them alone. I'm going to start with the baubles, maybe leave the baubles for a day or two, and then add the special, more fragile individual ornaments and see how it goes. Because if he goes bonkers over the fact there's baubles on the tree, I've got no hope of putting little tiny glass angels and special things that like that I've collected or have been gifted to me. It might be a year to pass on those. So we'll see how it goes. We've got some coffee. Just gonna sit for 10. We have had a little break. The coffee has kicked in. I'm now gonna go dig the decorations out and get started on this tree. Hello. Oh, no, that's my tissue. Hello. Are we gonna go out in a sec? We are. You gonna see your brother? Hi guys, it's a couple of days later. I think you last saw me finishing a bit of work on the tree. I thought I would do a quick reading recap for you. So I finished Listen to the Lie. It started off so promising, but I ended up giving it a 2-star. This book was described as being twisty and quite gripping, and for me there wasn't a lot of pull, there wasn't a lot of suspense. I wasn't invested enough in the story to kind of care about the results of this investigation that was going on. I don't know how else to phrase it. Our lead narrator, obviously, as I previously mentioned, has memory loss, so she doesn't even know herself if she actually killed this friend of hers from a wedding. And the whole central conceit is that she could potentially be an unreliable narrator. She is kind of starting to have memories come back to her as the plot moves on. And when it's finally revealed who the murderer is, it's not a twist, it's not a big denouement, it's not a sudden reveal, it's very obvious who it was. And there wasn't any suspicion from the beginning that it was that person. It was just, oh, by the way, it's this person. It felt so random and odd and just really underwhelming. I also had very little investment in the different characters throughout the book, so there was no one we were rooting for. There were a couple of people that seemed more suspicious than others. I was so looking forward to this book. It was top of my Goodreads list. I think it's nominated this year on the Goodreads award. It's got 4 point something. It had all these little tick boxes that I love. And maybe that's why I feel more let down by it, because it had such a lot of hype, so maybe I was setting myself up for failure. I don't know. I also reread and re-annotated Virginia Woolf's Room of One's Own, and that was phenomenal. I loved it. And this time going back through and adding my old uni notes into my new copy was just a really nice exercise. I really enjoyed it. We also read Wendy Coates' small poetry Christmas poems anthology. I loved that. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. I thought it was short, sweet, simple, beautiful. I also read In the Dream House, which I gave 5 stars to. I thought it was phenomenal. And I read it so quickly, I think in about a 24-hour window maybe. I didn't even video myself reading it. It was just sublime. It was such an incredible biography. I have the words for it, and I'm going to ruin it and maybe put you off it if I start trying to talk about it in a really brain rot kind of way. So I might talk about it in another video, maybe if I do a December and January roundup, and share my thoughts on it, because it's a really late comer, but I think it will be in my top 10 books of the year. I think I loved it that much. Anyway, we are just heading out the door to go to a Christmas party and spend some time with family and friends. I hope you liked this little cozy reading vlog. I'm sorry it was a bit mishmash. I just had I couldn't have picked a worse week to try and film something and actually squeeze in some reading for myself, which I really needed. I half achieved that goal, I suppose, but thank you for watching. And if you did like a cozy reading vlog like this, there will be a couple more coming over the holiday. Please do like, comment and subscribe, and Merry Christmas.